Hello, and welcome to Inner Spark, the place where powerful stories light the fire within you. Today's story is about the value of hard work, a reminder that success does not come from shortcuts or luck, but from relentless effort, sacrifice, and resilience. This is the journey of Michael, a boy who faced setbacks, doubts, and struggles yet never gave up. Through grit and sacrifice, he turned obstacles into stepping stones. His story proves that hard work is the most powerful key to lasting success. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Inner Spark to inspire more lives with motivational stories. Michael grew up in a quiet town in Yorkshire, where opportunities were scarce and people often settled for what life handed them. His father worked long shifts in construction, and his mother spent most of her time juggling part-time, cleaning jobs. Michael saw the tiredness in their eyes every night, yet also the pride that came from earning an honest living. From a young age, he knew that he wanted to rise above limitations while carrying their values with him. At school, Michael was neither the smartest nor the most talented. Teachers often underestimated him, placing more attention on students who excelled naturally. He was shy, sometimes even overlooked, and this planted seeds of self-doubt in his mind. Classmates teased him for being average, and he often wondered if he would ever stand out. Yet, deep inside, he carried a fire. He longed to prove that consistent effort mattered more than raw talent. When Michael turned 16, he landed his first part-time job working at a local warehouse. He carried heavy boxes, sorted deliveries, and cleaned storage spaces late into the night. The job was exhausting, with sore muscles and endless hours, but Michael embraced it. While his friends spent weekends relaxing, he worked shifts to support himself and to learn discipline. To him, the warehouse was not a burden, but a training ground for his character. Despite his determination, Michael struggled academically. He applied to several universities, only to receive rejection letters one after another. Each letter felt like a knife to the heart, a reminder of how ordinary he seemed in the eyes of the world. For a time, he thought he might be destined for the same life as his parents, hard work with little reward. But one evening, his mother told him, "Michael, hard work may not make life easy, but it will always make life meaningful." Her words stayed with him. Determined not to quit, Michael developed a new routine. He worked warehouse shifts by evening and dedicated his nights to studying. He cut out distractions, sacrificed weekends, and even distanced himself from friends who did not share his vision. He knew it would be lonely, but he believed the journey of growth often demands solitude. Every test he retook and every book he studied brought him closer to the man he wanted to become. Months later, Michael was accepted into a modest university in Birmingham. His excitement was short-lived when he realized the financial reality ahead of him. Rent, books, transport, and tuition stacked into a mountain he could barely see past. Most would have given up, but Michael took on multiple jobs: early morning newspaper deliveries, evening warehouse shifts, and weekend construction assistance. He often slept only 4 hours a night, but his vision of a better future gave him strength. Life as a student was anything but easy. Michael lived in a small, damp flat with two other students, surviving on cheap meals and secondhand clothes. Yet, while others complained about their circumstances, Michael embraced his hardships. He believed every sacrifice today would create freedom tomorrow. Instead of envying his peers with comfortable lives, he reminded himself that pressure shapes diamonds. He worked, studied, and endured day after day. Then, a twist shook his world. His father suddenly suffered a severe injury on a construction site, leaving him unable to work for months. The family's income collapsed, and responsibility fell on Michael's shoulders. He was torn between his studies and his family's needs. Without hesitation, he sent a portion of his earnings home, picking up longer shifts and cutting down even further on sleep. It almost broke him, but the challenge also forged him into someone unshakable. One night, after a draining shift, Michael sat alone in the warehouse parking lot, questioning if it was all worth it. Doubt crept in, whispering that he was wasting his youth. Just then, he overheard two delivery drivers discussing how determination separates survivors from quitters. Those words reignited his spirit. He promised himself that night that he would not stop until he created a life that proved hard work truly pays off. By his third year at university, Michael's reputation was spreading. Professors admired his discipline, and students began to see him as an example of perseverance. One lecturer, impressed by his relentless spirit, recommended him for an internship at a respected engineering firm in London. For Michael, this was the golden chance he had been waiting for, and he seized it with both hands, ready to prove himself. The internship was grueling. Many of his fellow interns came from privileged families, with polished suits and expensive connections. Michael stood out, not because of wealth, but because of his resilience. He stayed late when others left early, asked questions when others were too proud, and learned from every mistake. Slowly, supervisors started noticing his consistency, a rare trait in a world full of shortcuts. Late one evening, Michael was still in the office reviewing documents when the company's CEO walked past. Surprised to see him still working, the CEO struck up a conversation. Michael humbly shared his background, his struggles, and his determination. The CEO, who also came from humble beginnings, was deeply moved by Michael's story. That brief encounter would change the course of his life forever. Weeks later, Michael was offered a full-time position at the firm, even before graduating. The news felt surreal. After years of rejection, back-breaking work, and countless sacrifices, he was finally standing at the doors of success. His parents wept with pride, knowing that the son who once doubted himself was now building a future none of them had imagined possible. Michael finally allowed himself to believe in his own greatness. But his story didn't stop there. Michael carried the same hunger into his career, working tirelessly to prove that he belonged. Promotions came slowly at first, but he never complained. Each project he took on, he gave his all, and his persistence eventually earned him the respect of colleagues and superiors alike. He was not the loudest in the room, but he was always the most dependable. Years later, Michael became a senior manager, overseeing projects that shaped skylines and created jobs. He often looked back on his warehouse days, realizing how those nights lifting boxes built the strength and patience he now used as a leader. He told his team often, "Hard work is never wasted. It may not pay you today, but it always pays you eventually." His story became a source of inspiration within the company. Beyond his career, Michael became a mentor for young people from working-class backgrounds. He visited schools, shared his journey, and reminded students that success is not about where you start, but about how you persist. Newspapers wrote about him, and universities invited him to give talks. He had gone from being overlooked as average to becoming an example of extraordinary determination. Even with all his success, Michael never forgot his roots. He supported his parents, helped fund his siblings' education, and donated to scholarship programs for underprivileged students. He often returned to the warehouse where his journey began, sometimes leaving generous tips for workers who reminded him of his younger self. To him, success was meaningless if he didn't use it to lift others up. Michael's story teaches us that the true value of hard work lies not just in achieving dreams, but in the transformation it brings within. He became stronger, wiser, and more compassionate because he never gave up, no matter how heavy the burden grew. His journey is proof that when life tests you, persistence and effort are the only weapons you need to fight back. So remember, success is not about shortcuts, talent, or waiting for the perfect opportunity. It's about showing up, putting in the work, and refusing to quit when life gets tough. Like Michael, if you are willing to sweat, sacrifice, and push forward, your hard work will carve out a future brighter than you can imagine. Michael's journey proves that hard work is the most powerful currency in life. It may not give instant rewards, but it builds character, resilience, and opportunities that last. If he could rise from a warehouse job to a respected leader, then so can you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Inner Spark, and let Michael's story remind you that persistence conquers all.